Krishna.
Harbol, everyone. Thank you for joining another reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So where are we?
Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 9.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 9. The objects of enjoyment became stale by the influence of Kalakanya. Due to the continuance of his lusty desires, King Paranjam became very poor in everything. Thus, he did not understand the aim of life. He was still very affectionate towards his wife and children, and he worried about maintaining them. Purport. This is exactly the position of present civilization. Everyone is engaged in maintaining the body, home, and family. Consequently, everyone becomes confused at the end of life, not knowing what spiritual life and the goal of human life are. In a civilization of sense gratification, there cannot be spiritual life, because the person thinks only of this life. Although the next life is a fact, no information is given about it. Interesting. I like the point that everyone becomes confused at the end of life, because they never understood what the goal of human life is. I like that. It's powerful, because you, like before that, Prabhupada saying everyone's engaged in maintaining first of all your body. If you've got a body, you can have a home, you can have other people in the home. So Prabhupada's saying we're busy doing this. This is our focus. Everything we do is focus on that. Your work, what you eat, the choices you make, it's all based around that. But if you don't know that there is an end goal, or what the end goal is of human life, then yeah, it's scary, because you see your house of cards, as it were, falling around you, and you're trying to grapple, like, wait a minute, like what? And then you hear people, don't you? What was it all about? I did this, I did that, then, or some people try to just summarize it. Yeah, I had a good life. Yeah, we had a good innings, didn't we? Yeah, it was good. Because either you just go berserko, confused, like Prabhupada said, or you try to control the berserkness, and by saying, yeah, it was a good life, wasn't it? You think, yeah, that's all there is to it, and yeah, I did good, like that. But that's just covering it up even more and not facing it. So yeah, it's powerful sections at the moment that we're seeing. And in the verse, Prabhupada says the objects of enjoyment become stale by the influence of Kalakanya, like by time and degradation. That which I could do and really like doing, I can't do it anymore, and it doesn't hold the same light, as it were. Yeah, it's powerful. Yeah, it's miserable life, isn't it? When you look at it like that, material life, it's just miserable.
Well, it's really hit home when you said, yeah, he had a good innings, or we've had a good innings. And I was thinking, I've said that to people before as a kind of way of just, how old were they? Oh, yeah, 89. Wow, they had a good innings. I mean, it's like just a nice thing to say, but I guess the cold, harsh, fact way to really say it was, well, were they prepared for death? Were they really an understanding of what was going to happen after death? And often people think, they're, especially from, I guess you could say, Christian faith, it'd be like, oh, they're in heaven. It's like no matter how horrible a life they led, it seems like everyone thinks they probably went to heaven, their loved ones went to heaven.
And the dog.
And the dog. And so, yeah. But, I mean, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is speaking like the facts, that basically whatever you've lived in this life is going to be the classic next stage that you move to, that we see in this life. And therefore, it's explained spiritually that your karma carries you to the next thing. Of course, there is mercy, there is grace, and God can do anything. But to some extent, we need to be a little bit qualified to receive that grace. We need to do something that was at the cause. Who was it that chanted at the end of his life? Naran?
Oh, Ajamil.
Ajamil. I knew it began with an A. Ajamil. Yeah, so, that's an incident of like a degraded lifestyle, but then at the end he just chanted his son's name. Even that wasn't really such a massive qualification, but it was enough to save him. So we see that there is immense grace available. But we have to, such a good point. Consequently, everyone becomes confused at the end of life, not knowing what spiritual life and the goal of human life are.
Then it's scary.
Next verse. Well, scary in one sense, yeah, but for devotees, we should actually be like, I know what the goal is, and we should be working towards that goal.
Yeah.
Then that becomes scary. I know, I've been told, I've understood, I'm trying, but am I trying? Am I trying hard enough? Am I preparing myself?
Or am I just trying?
Or am I just trying? Well, yeah. Text 10. The city of King Puranjan was overcome by the Gandharva and the Yavana soldiers, and although the king had no desire to leave the city, he was circumstantially forced to do so, for it was smashed by Kala Kanya. Purport: the living entity, separated from the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, tries to enjoy this material world. He is given a chance to enjoy it in a particular type of body, beginning with the body of a Brahma, down to that of the microbe. From the Vedic history of creation, we can understand that the first living creature was Lord Brahma, who created the 7 great sages and other Prajapatis to increase the universal population. Thus, every living entity, according to karma, his past desires and activities, gets a particular type of body, from that of Brahma to that of a microbe or germ in stool. Lovely. Due to long association with a particular type of material body, and also due to the grace of Kalakanya and her Maya, one becomes overly attached to a material body, although it is the abode of pain. Even if one tries to separate a worm from stool, the worm will be unwilling to leave. It will return to the stool. Similarly, a hog generally lives in a filthy state, eating stool, but if one tries to separate it from its condition and give it a nice place, the hog will be unwilling. In this way, if we study each and every living entity, we will find that he will defy offers of a more comfortable position. Although King Puranjan was attacked from all sides, he is unwilling to leave the city. Interesting. In other words, the living entity, whatever his condition, does not want to give up the body, but he will be forced to give it up because, after all, this material body cannot exist forever. So powerful. And first point that I appreciate was just that everyone is given a chance to enjoy from Lord Brahma down to a microbe, and that is, it's a statement that is mentioned somewhere else, but sometimes it's mentioned and people say, oh, where is that at? Where is it mentioned in the Bhagavatam that you, because in one place it mentions that you first take birth as a Brahma when you leave the spiritual world. Your first fall from grace is to be a Lord Brahma. But then Prabhupada goes on to talk about the worm and stool and the hog and the hog pen. I thought he was going to go into the pastime of Lord Indra, when Lord Indra was cursed to become a hog, and Lord Brahma came and said, okay, Indra, it's enough. Enough is enough. Come back to the heavenly kingdom and take your position. And he's like, no, but what about my little piggy wife and my little piggy kids, and the farmer's coming soon, and he's got some nice slop for me to eat, and what about this nice muddy palace that I've got? And so it's like, God, if we could just get that, how we allow ourselves to become conditioned by the material energy and be happy and not want to change our situation. You know, it's like, it's crazy. Okay.
Next paragraph. The living entity wishes to enjoy the material world in different ways, and therefore by nature's law he is allowed to transmigrate from one body to another, exactly as a person transmigrates from the body of an infant to a child, to a boy, to a youth, to a man. This process is constantly going on. At the last stage, when the gross body becomes old and invalid, the living entity is reluctant to give it up, despite the fact that it is no longer usable. Although material existence and the material body are not comfortable, why does the living entity not want to leave? As soon as one gets a material body, he has to work very hard to maintain it. He may engage in different fields of activity, but whatever the case, everyone has to work very hard to maintain the material body. Unfortunately, society has no information of the soul's transmigration. Because the living entity does not hope to enter the spiritual kingdom of eternal life, bliss and knowledge, he wants to stick to his present body, even though it may be useless. Consequently, the greatest wealth for activity in this material world is the furthering of the Krishna consciousness movement. I was thinking, in light of, we just had a meeting, and then as this last point, consequently, the greatest wealth for activity in this material world is the furthering of the Krishna consciousness movement, and it just emphasizes this point, which, quite a few devotees, but in particular our spiritual master, focuses on and stresses on, which is where do people land when they come into the Krishna consciousness movement. It should be caring, community, and it should be open. And we also have to focus on this, especially if you think about it, what we're reading in these purports at the moment. People are coming confused and scared and hardened and all that by the material energy, and that's how we land in this movement, which is a nice thought. Not nice, but it is a nice thought to maybe allow ourselves to therefore cut them some slack, as they say in America, give them some grace. It's an American term, isn't it?
They say cut them some slack, right?
That's what I just said.
Okay, yeah. What do you say in England?
Nothing,
because you don't cut anybody any slack.
Anyway, the point is, I didn't quite finish.
Oh, okay, but please do.
Is that, it's very powerful that this, and because this is also the season for giving, not just gifts, but also Prabhupada's books. But we need to make sure that when people turn around and come and seek out this Krishna consciousness movement, that it is a place that they wish to stay and land. When we used to go to the pub to do book distribution, and we would meet so many characters, as you can imagine. We'd be dressed up in fancy dress, Santa Claus, bananas, penguins. I say that because I just spoke to an American devotee and said we have to wear fancy dress for something, and she said, no, we have to wear and she meant fancy dress, but in America, she thought fancy dress was when you go to a ball or something. I said, no, fancy dress, if she didn't get the term. So that's why I'm spelling it out, what we would wear, fancy dress. And we would often think, no, you have to, it's multicultural, but you have to, oh no, why am I bringing her into it? But we would often think that, it's so fun, we're having so much fun giving out these books. But I remember when we used to regroup and discuss it afterwards, some of the people we were thinking, how are they going to feel when they come to the temple? We weren't sure if it would land so well for them, Not because it was a bad temple, but I'm just saying it didn't. Would the reciprocation be there, and would the expectation be met when they come? Would they meet with the same level of friendliness and enthusiasm and whatever they were feeling when they were basically bantering with us and taking books and giving us money, basically? So I just thought that last line was very... But there's a lot, obviously, in that paragraph, but the last line really stood out for me.
Powerful. Okay, and the final paragraph for this verse and purport. This movement is giving human society information about the kingdom of God. There is God, there is Krishna, and everyone can return to God and live eternally in bliss and knowledge. A Krishna conscious person is not afraid of giving up the body because his position is always eternal. A Krishna conscious person engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord eternally. Therefore, as long as he lives within the body, he is happy to engage in the loving service of the Lord. And when he gives up the body, he is also permanently situated in the service of the Lord. The saintly devotees are always free and liberated, whereas the karmis who have no knowledge of spiritual life or the transcendental loving service of the Lord are very much afraid of giving up the rotten material body. Anyway, it just reminds me of one devotee who excuse me, been in hospital and, is saying that I'm not afraid of dying. Not afraid to die, but I'm afraid of the pain that I'm going to have to go through before I die. which is like an interesting thing. Like, I know there's Krishna. I know this body isn't going to last forever. I know I'm going to have to give it up. I got all of that. But the process of getting to that is going to be horrendous, And so, that's what leads people to just, better I die sooner rather than later, What is it? So, it's a heavy situation. We definitely don't want to get a body again. That should be our kind of ambition, that I don't want another material body. Let me please finish up this business now in the material world, serve Krishna to the best of my ability with the rest of this life, and just finish it up, not come back here again. It's for the best, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
jai.